Foundation, and I currently oversee the Governor's Scholarship for Foster Youth, as well as a couple other active programs that we have. Before joining CSF, I was a financial aid advisor. And I just really wanted to take a moment to thank you for being a part of the Passport Network, and everything that you do day to day truly does impact our students' lives in such a powerful way. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate you being here with me and seeking knowledge in order to serve our youth to the best of your abilities and doing everything within your power to be the mentor that they need. So I just want to say thank you for being you. And with that, I will go into our agenda for the day. We are going to go over some important dates, not only for the Governor's Scholarship, but for all of our scholarships. I will do an overview of the Governor's Scholarship, some documentation overview that we need, additional CSF scholarship resources, and a recap. And then I'm hoping that we will have time at the end to do a quick overview of SurveyMonkey Apply, which is the platform that students use to apply for the scholarship. So for the important dates, all of our scholarships did open on December 1st, and they will close on January 30th. So that's a little over a month and or about a month and a half that students have to apply for the scholarship. And then what this means is that they need to create an account and complete all of the application steps. And then on February 6th, there will be a closing date for all additional documents. I'm going to go into depth of what exactly those are, but we give students and recommenders an additional week to turn in any documentation that's needed. And then we review documents and we review applications, and then we send out award notifications on April 15th. So let's go into the Governor's Scholarship particularly and what it entails. The Governor's Scholarship was created by Governor Gary Locke and has since been taken under the wing of Governor Chris Gregoire and Jay Inslee. And each year there's a golf tournament that is held that raise funds. And our goal is to always have about 30 to 40 new scholars each year. I would say lately we've had only about 20 students that actually follow through with completing their application each year. So that's why we're holding this webinar, in hopes that you guys can work your magic, get more students coming in, applying, know that this is an opportunity for them. That way we can reach our goal of having about 40 students per year that are new scholars. Beyond financial support, this scholarship allows students to receive academic guidance and career planning, college coaching, and then they are provided with mentorship in order to help them go through school and complete their degree. So as you can see, it says that students will receive between $2,000 to $4,000 annually. That depends on the school that they go to. If they're in a community college, they would receive $2,000 a year. If they're at a public four-year university like UW, that would be $3,000 a year. And then if they're at a private four-year university like Seattle U, that would be $4,000 a year, but it's renewable every single year and they can receive up to $20,000. As far as the eligibility criteria, students could either be a current high school senior, or they could be a college student. They could maybe be college age, but go ahead and go to the next slide. Oh yeah. They could be a current college student, they could be a current high school student, or maybe they're going to enter college. As of today, right now, there's not an age limit for the Governor's Scholarship. So they could be 18, they could be 21, 24. As long as they meet the eligibility criteria, they can apply. So they would need to have a 2.0 GPA or higher. They would need to enroll at an eligible Washington State college or university. And then we have that linked on our website, which colleges are applicable. They do need to be a Washington State resident and then fall into one of the following three criteria that's on the screen. So that would be placed in Washington State court-ordered state care, if they are an unaccompanied minor entering the US and placed in foster care, or if they are under dependency tribal court order outside of their home. In the next slide, there's a couple of items that I want to touch on that would disqualify a candidate. And one of them being is that if they're adopted. So if a student was in foster care and then adopted, that would disqualify them, because when students are adopted, when they fill out their FAFSA, they would then put their adoptive parents' information on FAFSA. So they would have a parent to include. Maybe if they've returned to live with their parents before turning 18, or if their dependency court order was dismissed. We also have students that were in foster care outside of Washington that apply, that would disqualify them as well, or if they've been emancipated. And then I did make a note here that just because a student qualifies for McKinney-Vento doesn't automatically mean that they qualify for the governor's scholarship. We get that question quite a bit because you guys are working with homeless youth and at-risk youth, maybe students that are coming from a background where it's not safe to put their family's information on FAFSA, and wondering if they can qualify for the governor's scholarship. And the only way that they would qualify is if they meet the criteria on the previous slide. One document that they would need to provide is their dependency court order document, and it looks like this. I put in a sample. It's usually like maybe sometimes 8 to like 20 pages. It's pretty long, but it's a packet of forms that they would have. In the application, when students are going through, maybe they don't know how to get this. We have the contact information on how to get this. It has a phone number of DSHS and Catholic Community Services, so that they can reach out and get this form if they don't have it. All right, so let's go into our application checklist. So not only do students need to turn in their dependency court order document, they also will need to turn in a letter of recommendation. So maybe you might be the recommender. It could be, a teacher, a mentor, a supervisor, a religious leader. The only people that would not be applicable is if it's a family member, or if it's a peer, if it's a coworker. Those people would not be eligible to be a recommender. But if you want to be a recommender, please help them. That would be wonderful. So letter of recommendation, their DCO, their dependency court order documents. Students will need to turn in their high school transcript, their unofficial transcript. If it doesn't have their fall 25 grades on there, that's okay. They can email us and turn in their updated high school transcript to us, and we'll upload that document on their behalf. Or let's say somebody's kind of right on the verge of having a 2.0 GPA, maybe it's a 1.9 and their fall grades aren't in yet. Let us know, and then we can upload their new document into their application if they received a 2.0 GPA or higher after their fall grades came in. Alrighty, so this is a list of our current active programs that we have. So we have the Governor's Scholarship, the MLK Scholarship, BECU Foundation Scholarship, Costco Employee Scholarship, and Leadership 1000. So students can receive more than one of our scholarships. I wanted to give you this information not only for the students that would qualify for GOVs, but maybe if you're working with other students, and it might help you to reach them to apply for these. But students can apply for more than one of our scholarships and receive more than one. The first scholarship that I'm going to dive into is the MLK Scholarship. And this one is specifically for students in certain zip codes in Seattle. So it's not going to be for all students across Washington state. This was created by the Mount Baker Foundation 36 years ago, and it was a neighborhood effort to honor the work of Dr. King and the students that live in the community. This scholarship usually awards about 15 students a year. For this one, students would need to have a 3.0 GPA or higher, And this scholarship is for 4 years. And if they go to a community college, they'll receive $2,000 a year. And if they go to a public or private 4-year college, they would receive $4,000 a year. Students do also need to apply for a FAFSA or a WASFA, and they need to meet income criteria. This is a need-based program. So on our website, the link is there of, does your family, meet or exceed this family income for 2024? And if it exceeds, then they would be disqualified. So if you happen to know any students that are from a low to moderate income family with a GPA of 3.0 or higher within that zip code, please have them apply. In the next scholarship, we'll go over the BECU scholarship. So this is students that bank with BECU. They can be the primary card holder, or they could be a joint primary card holder for the account. And BECU, they will award 69 students a year. And these are students who are really involved in their community, and they demonstrate the principle of people helping people. This is a 2-year award, and that is $2,500 a year, up to $5,000. And these students need to have a 2.5 GPA or higher. They could be a high school senior. They could be a current college student. It's for students of any age. This one, you don't have to stay within Washington in order to receive this scholarship. You could go to any state, any college in the United States and receive this scholarship. So it could be for a Gov student as well as any other student that you might know that's going to school out of state. What's unique about this program is students do need to be enrolled full-time in order to receive this scholarship versus MLK and Govs. They can go to school both full-time or part-time and receive aid. But this one, you have to be enrolled 12 credits or more in order to receive the scholarship. And a perk to this scholarship is that these students can receive emergency funding if needed. They can receive up to $3,000 a year. And that emergency could be for transportation, housing, childcare, academic needs. We have a list of items that those emergencies could apply to, but it's pretty broad, and it's wonderful that they help students in more ways than just paying for tuition. Alrighty, so the next one that I'm going to go over is our L1000 scholarship. This one is also for Washington State students. So you need to be a Washington State resident and be enrolled in a Washington State high school, or you could be a current college student that received CSF services. Attending an eligible Washington State college is also important. So just like Govs, we have a link that says, hey, you have to attend these schools in order to receive the funding. Same with L1000, you have to attend a certain Washington State school in order to receive funding. These students are selected based upon their academic promise, their personal drive, and they do need to demonstrate financial needs. Same like I said with Govs, they need to meet a certain financial threshold. L1000 does as well. We have quite a bit of students that receive the governor's scholarship as well as the L1000 scholarship. This scholarship is donor based. So we have donors that may say, I want to give to foster youth, or I want to give to a student that's enrolled in the nursing program, or students in STEM programs, whatever it might be, right? So it's donor based, and we match the donor criteria to the student of what they put into the application, and then they can receive up to $20,000 of funding, and it's renewable in up to 4 years as well. And then their scholarship awards are typically $1,000 to $5,000 a year. And for the eligibility requirements, as I said, they need to be a high school senior, currently enrolled at a Washington State high school, or enrolled at a Washington State college and receive CSF resources while they're in high school. and they need to apply for FAFSA or WASFA, and they also need to have a GPA of 2.5 or higher. Okay. And then the last one that I'm going to go over is the Costco Employee Scholarship. You might not have too many students right now working at Costco because I know that they have a age requirement where you have to be 18 and older, but just in case you have a high school senior who's working at Costco part-time, or if you know a current college student who's working at Costco, this is a really good program. So this is for students who are either a full-time employee, part-time employee, a limited part-time employee, or on the college retention program. So sometimes there's seasonal employees that will reach out and they wouldn't qualify. They have to be coded within their system as one of those four. They can receive $2,500 a year for 4 years, so up to $10,000. And then these students can go to school part-time or full-time, and they can receive funding anywhere in the US. And then with all of the programs that I mentioned, I do want to let you know that students who apply, once they receive their bachelor's, they're no longer eligible for our funding. Or if they already have a bachelor's degree, they're not eligible for our funding. So this is only for undergrad students. Okie dokes. So I wanted to go into our short answer questions. That way you can help students along the way of what to expect. With our short answer questions, they are about 300 words that we ask for. It can be more, but I think it kind of cuts you off at 500 if I am remembering correctly. But we don't want students to go into too much detail about their lives. We want them to give us thoughtful responses, but we don't want them to rehash trauma that they've gone through while answering these questions. So the first essay prompt, we're interested in getting to know what the students' goals are and how higher education supports their goals and what they've done to prepare for it so far. In the second essay prompt, we are looking for students to reflect on a strength that may help the student in achieving their goals, and personal vulnerability that may get in the way of their success. And we also want to hear how the student to address their personal vulnerability, as well as in the context of their college and career goals. And then with the last essay prompt, we ask that students describe a challenge that they've experienced and how they dealt with it. The second part of the question asks how they dealt with the challenge, how did it shape the student, right? What did the student learn from this challenge, and has this experience influenced them in any way in their future goals? I do also, we can go on to the next slide, but I do just want to say really quick that students can invite a collaborator into their application. So if you work really closely with a student, maybe you're a case manager, both you and the student can have access to their scholarship application, and you can go through things together if needed. I wanted to share some essay tips for student prompts that we just discussed. So SurveyMonkey sometimes has technical errors, and by sometimes I mean a lot. So I highly encourage students to write the responses to their essay prompts in a Word document and save it, and then copy that into SurveyMonkey so that you're not in the middle of writing your, thoughtful response and then something glitches and your essay's gone, right? I would hate to see that happen. So if they could please write their short answer responses in Word, copy and paste it into SurveyMonkey, that would be to their benefit. If they could use different examples throughout their application to build a more complete picture of who they are, that would be wonderful, because these applications, they are scored by volunteer readers. And this is the only chance that the volunteer readers have to get to know them. So if they kind of keep repeating the same thing in each question response, then their score will be lowered. And if we have, maybe we have 100 people who fully complete their application this year, but I only have a spot for 40 new scholars, then they would be scored lower. And I don't want to see anybody miss out on funding opportunities. So if you could help them be as thoughtful as possible in their responses, that would be best. They could, maybe share a draft with their teachers or advisor of their short answer questions. And that might be able to help them. But yeah, I think being a collaborator, if you're really close, working really closely with them, or being that person that they can bounce ideas off of, that would help a lot. We also created a handout of like do's and don'ts for writing your essays, like how to use AI to your benefit, but not overuse AI, because if we can tell that AI was used in the responses to the short answer questions, then it will disqualify a student. But I'll go into those links later. Alrighty, so for our resources, this is just a snapshot of what the College Success Foundation website looks like. You'll see there's a drop-down menu, and when you hover over it, there's scholarships. And from there, you can access any one of our scholarships. Within the Gov scholarship, you'll see the application writing guide and how to use AI. And then I know Laura will drop those links in the chat, but also when we send out this slide deck to everyone, these are all clickable links. So you'll have it at your fingertips if needed. Okay. When creating a SurveyMonkey account, it will ask for you to use an email address and create a password. And please, 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 please don't let your students use their high school email address, because once they graduate, they're going to lose access to it. And all of these scholarships are renewable. So next year, when they go to renew their application, they can't get in. And we don't have the access to fix that for them. We can't update their email on our end anymore. We used to be able to do that in the past, but last year SurveyMonkey made changes and they said, they can have them contact us. We can see what we can do, but there's no guarantees. So please have them use an email address that they check regularly and create their account with their personal email address. Also, we send reminder emails, I would say every other day, to students if they haven't completed their application. So if they could save both our scholarship services email address and the SurveyMonkey apply email address and not have things funneled to spam, that would be in their benefit. And then I want to remind you that everything needs to be done by January 30th. So when you're working with a student, just remember January 30th is the deadline. Make sure you have everything in by then. And then, if you're a recommender, then you can have until the 6th to turn in your letter of recommendation. Alrighty, so a little bit about our overall process for all of our scholarship programs. So right now we are in the application stage. We're reviewing eligibility, we're reviewing completion. My colleague and I in the Scholarship Services Office, we're continuously monitoring incoming applications for eligibility and helping students who might need their application reset. Maybe for the eligibility, they said, oh, I'm not a Washington State resident, and it automatically deemed them ineligible. They're like, oh no, I made a mistake. They'll email us and we reset their application so that they can complete it. We get that all the time. We're helping with that. We're helping them figure out resetting their recommender information if maybe they had a typo in the email address, all that stuff. That's happening right now. Then in March, we have something called the read event. So that's when we have all of the completed applications and we have our volunteer readers who read them, score them, and then we have all of the scores compiled, and then we can start the awarding process. So our goal is always by April 1st that we have everything complete. We can send out award notifications by April 15th. So within that 2 week period, we're like kind of really double checking all of the readers' work, make sure that there's no bias when people are scoring, and doing the fine tuning, so that on April 15th we send out award notifications to everyone, and then they have until April 30th to let us know if they want to accept the award. There are times when students let us know that they don't want to accept the award. Maybe they're going to school out of state, and that's okay. If they ever decide to come back in state, then they can receive their scholarship at that time. But we do have students who do decline it for whatever the reason might be. Maybe they want to take a year off and defer, then we do that too. So any type of scenario that might pop up, we always do our best to work with the student in order to maintain their scholarship eligibility and make it as easy as possible for them, that when they do return, they can receive their funding. After they accept their scholarship, they do need to enroll in our online orientation. It's mandatory. If students don't do the orientation, there's a makeup assignment that they need to complete. If they don't do the makeup assignment or the orientation, then their scholarship is forfeited. So that is one thing that they need to do. So that's another reason why they need to continue checking their emails, because we send them email reminders, notifications constantly. And then we disperse. So every July we disperse for fall. And then every November we disperse for winter quarter or spring semester. And then if they're on a quarterly schedule, we disperse for spring semester in February. So we constantly have something going throughout the year. In the next slide, I'm going to do a quick little recap of GOVs, because we talked about it at the beginning and we might have forgotten. But for GOVs, Washington State resident, right? Enrolled at a Washington State high school, planning on attending an eligible Washington State university or college, right? You need to have a GPA of 2.0 or above. You need to have either a GED or high school diploma by June 2026. You need to meet one of the following criteria that's on your screen. If not, then they wouldn't be eligible for this scholarship. They could be eligible for one of our other scholarships. But that's the gist of it, right? It's renewable up to $20,000. Usually students use 4 years of funding, but they can receive up to 5 years of funding. With that, I want to go into SurveyMonkey and show you what students see. That way, when you are helping them, we're not going in blind, right? I want you to have all the tools available. And then after that, we'll have time for Q&A in case there's something I missed, forgot, and I can answer all your questions. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let's make sure you can see everything. Laura, can I get a thumbs up? Yeah, everything looking okay? Awesome. Okay, let me move that silly share bar. That always gets in my way. Alrighty, this is our College Success Foundation website. Okay, when you go to our approach and you hover over it, you will see scholarships. Go ahead and click on that. And then we've got a list of all of our scholarships. So what's open, it goes in alphabetical order. So we've got BECU open, Costco. We also have a DC chapter. And so that would be for DC students, but Governor Scholarship, which I'll go into, L1000 and MLK. So we go to Govs, makes it really easy, big yellow button that says apply here. But if you ever want to read more about it, we've got our eligibility criteria here, our application timeline, right? So opens, closes, supplemental docs, award notification, award acceptance, mandatory online orientation is typically the last week of May. And then again, another place to apply. We have our FAQs, our renewal. When our renewal is open, you can click on this form and complete it. but you have a 2 month time period to complete the renewal. So we try to always give students as much time as possible to complete their application. But when you click on apply here, it'll take you to this website, csfsmaapply.org. So it's taking us into SurveyMonkey. Students will need to register, okay? When you click on register, it looks like this. So they're going to use their personal email address. It's going to send them an email that says to verify your registration. They have to click on that, otherwise they can't continue. All right, I've already created a test account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in with that. Test student. They will only see that they're an applicant though. Because I do tests, you'll see that I have recommender on there because I was a recommender for another test account just to make sure things were working properly, but they'll only see applicant there. Also, you can see that I have been in different applications, testing them out. So whatever application a student applies for, it's gonna show up on their dashboard. Because they are applying for Govs, then they'll only see Gov. So once they start applying for other applications, they'll see them here. But for right now, let's start this. And first they need to pass the eligibility criteria in order to move to the rest of the application. So again, we constantly letting them know when the deadlines are, and then we give them directions up at the top. So it's going to ask if they were in any one of these foster care placements, and they're going to say yes because they were. Let's say they were court-ordered foster care, and then from there, let's say it was 2 years. And then do they have a high school diploma or GED by June 2026? Yes. And then do they have a 2.0 GPA or higher? Yes. Have they resided in Washington for at least a year? Yes. And do they plan to go to school at least part-time? Yes. If they answer no to any of these questions, it's going to disqualify them. They're going to receive an email from us saying that they're deemed ineligible. If they think that it is a mistake, to please reach out to us and we can reset their application for them. And it gives them our email address. But they do have to answer yes to all of these questions in order to move through. And I will mark it as complete. Complete the task. Thinking. All right, so now all of this pops up on the left-hand side. Okay, and the students will need to toggle through and complete this information. And let's say they don't complete everything, right? They can save and continue editing. And it looks like this, right? It's not a complete check mark. You can see that it's not complete. They'll need to come back to it and fix it. Also, it tells me when I have errors, right? I haven't answered my questions. We make it as simple as possible for students to understand what's going on. Let's move to activities. If they don't have a lot of activities going on because maybe they're busy taking care of their younger brother and sister, or they have an ailing family member that they take care of, they can put that as their activity. That's totally fine. They don't have to be the star athlete or, part of chess club and band and everything in between. It's okay to have no activities, right? Or one activity. You don't have to have everything in there. So I'm just gonna do this, mark it as complete. Let's see if it'll let me. My form contains errors. So if I don't fill it out, it won't let me go through. But once I finish it, it will allow me. See, you can see this little guy here. But once I do finish everything, then I can save it, mark it as complete. Let's see where else I have errors. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to waste our time on this, but that's how it works. Okay. And then once you're completely done, there will be a green submit button over here on this section. So everything will have a checkbox here, and then it'll allow you to actually submit your form. And then from there, we have everything, and we'll look to see, I'll stop sharing my screen really quick. From there, we will see, are we missing the letter of recommendation? Is there an error with the unofficial transcript that was turned in? Maybe sometimes we get students that will turn them in and it's a year old, or it doesn't have their cumulative GPA. So we reach out, we send them emails asking them to turn in the documentation that's needed. But from there, if we need anything, it's always an email. And they can always email us. We put in our email address everywhere possible so that students have it. But for right now, Laura, if you want to just put up our email address so that everyone has it, I'd appreciate that. And I'm going to open it up for questions, comments, anything I forgot. And then I can cover that. But this is our email address. This email address is monitored by myself and our director, so you can reach out anytime if you have questions. But for now, let's see, I see there's some stuff in the chat. I'm going to go to the top, work my way down. No age limit. So for your TRIO student who is in foster care, if they can get the dependency court order documents, yes, they can turn them in, they can apply. We had a student that was, this is I think it's our 26th cohort of GOVs, and we had a student that was receiving GOVs 20 years ago and received, still had some funding left, and then decided to come back to school and filled out their application, turn in all the necessary documents to renew, and we were able to give them funding for this current academic year. So yes, if your student is 50 and can fill out the application and turn in all the documentation, at this moment in time, there's no age limit. So is there consideration for students who are former foster youth but are now UHY, unaccompanied homeless youth? So if they were a former foster youth, but now, I would like clarification on that question. The way that I read it is they were former foster youth, maybe then they were placed back with their family, things are not working out, and now they're a unaccompanied homeless youth. I'm hoping I'm understanding that correct. If the DCO, if the docs say that now they're with their family, they're placed back with their family, then unfortunately that would disqualify them from this particular scholarship. But doesn't mean they're not disqualified from L1000 or BECU. So I'd hope that they would apply for those. And then if they were adopted but were kicked out, again, adoption would disqualify them. Yes. Let's see. Can the governor's scholarship be used if a student is doing a workforce program that is not eligible for traditional financial aid at one of the community colleges listed? It would need to be an accredited college, an accredited program. Like, let's say students are doing ABE classes, they wouldn't receive funding for that. But all of our scholarships tend to follow the guidelines of Pell and state funding and federal funding. So I'm wondering why they don't qualify for eligible or not for traditional financial aid. So is it that the program is not eligible itself? because it's not accredited? Because if so, then they wouldn't qualify for the scholarship. But if you have like clarifying comments, please put them in the chat. Does the governor's scholarship require an essay? Yes, 3 short answer questions that they would need to answer. And then the orientation, yes, it's virtual and it lasts, how long does it last? I would say probably with the actual orientation is about an hour, like 45 minutes ish. And then students have questions and it's usually about 30 minutes of Q&A at the end. So yeah, it's all online. And if they cannot attend for whatever reason, they can let us know in advance. And then if they say they're going to attend and then they don't, we can see that. And then we send them an email and say, hey, you didn't attend orientation. Please, do the makeup assignment within the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, your scholarship is rescinded. And then they get it done. And we send email after email to follow up to make sure that they complete their makeup assignment, which is super quick, simple. It's like 5 questions. Yeah. And then regarding the program, thanks for clarifying. That program, they would not qualify for the governor's scholarship for that. And then can a ward of the court letter take place of the court order? Right now, no. Per our guidelines on our website, unfortunately. So I wish it would make things a little bit easier. Any other questions that you want to drop in the chat, raise your hand. I'm going to be here. If you don't have any questions, feel free to log off so that you get some of your time back. But if you have questions, feel free to stick around. And if you don't feel comfortable asking questions here in a public setting, our email is in the chat. You can email me personally. You can use our general inbox, but I want to give you guys some of your time back if you're all done. And thank you for coming. Regarding a scholarship for women of color specifically that are homeless, with the current administration, their guidelines on DEI, we cannot state specifically if a scholarship is for a particular group of people based upon their ethnic background or race. We have scholarships that help underserved, underrepresented students. And I think the L1000 scholarship might be a good fit if they haven't received a bachelor's degree yet. And then if they're residing in certain zip codes in Seattle, then maybe the MLK scholarship if they happen to be a high school senior. Thank you, everyone. I'll be here for a few more minutes, just in case questions come through. If not, you guys have a great rest of your day. And I think we could probably stop the recording as well. Yeah.